Hello and welcome to this month's Speaker Spotlight series for NSA Carolinas. I'm your host, Sharon Delaney McCloud, and I am thrilled to introduce this month's guest, Beth Jackson, who is the founder of Talent Development Specialist based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Beth!
Hey, Sharona. Always good to see you.
You just told our relationship Sharona is my nickname because here's the secret. Beth and I have known each other our entire adult lives. We were roommates back in college. So we know all the tea. But what is so wonderful is that Beth and I have had parallel careers in the last number of years, and so excited to bring Beth's story and expertise to our members here at NSA Carolinas. So Beth, go ahead and give us a little bit of your backstory and how you serve in your consulting speaking workshop capacity.
Thanks, Sharon. It's such a delight to have this conversation with you. And the parallel is great. As you know, it's so fun for us to be able to share shared experiences and wisdom, and it's just terrific. I like to call kind of the work that I do, how I got here, I like to call it a half and half. And that's because the first half of my career, I was in healthcare advertising and pharmaceutical sales and marketing. And so I was really in revenue generating roles, and I did that on what I call kind of the business side for about half of my career. Then I had the opportunity to move into kind of bridge and take that business development background and then move over into people development space. It started with sales training and working in that environment, and then moved over into learning and development, organizational development, and now has brought me to where I have my own company and am able to focus and specialize on taking amazing talent for organizations and helping them lift that talent, find what's find what's already there inside of their people, unlock it, and move that talent forward to reach their goals.
I love, Beth, how you have on your website, because of course, today you cannot get past any conversation in the business world or life without hearing about artificial intelligence. And one of your monikers on your website is there is nothing artificial about leadership intelligence. Tell us more about how you plug into the companies that you're working with to enhance that leadership intelligence.
Yes, it's artificial intelligence it's amazing. Everyone is experimenting with it. I love when I meet people who are using it regularly and have it very much part of their day-to-day and what's accelerating their business. But there's also a lot of fear around it, and a lot of people are afraid that it's going to take their jobs or change their jobs in a negative way. I think, as with most things, like if you can face that fear, embrace it, and understand that there's so much to move business along, and that's great. But I'll harken back to what we were talking about a moment ago, which is something that's parallel. You need to still always be developing the human, and the human, we all have this leadership intelligence. Again, it's all inside of us. And so it's a matter of, it's a both and. So while artificial intelligence is certainly changing the way we work and the way we relate to things and do things, your leadership intelligence is equally important. And it's not artificial, it's completely authentically you. the things that you know, the things that you have experienced, the things that you want to do. When you put all of that together, you are always going to be this unique cell that has leadership intelligence, and you can continue to build it. So I really focus on self-awareness and developing leaders through that nucleus of self-awareness, self-management, and then all the other layers that create who you are and what your leadership intelligence brand looks like.
Beth, I know you do a lot of writing and content and course creation through various capabilities in leadership. What are some of the parts of that content that you feel are most important right now?
Yeah, so I think if you're working within, at an organization, they've probably set a frame for what they say is important inside of their culture, inside of their environment, in order to meet their performance standards. So I do think that that's really important to pay attention to. That's your first signal, right? What's important here, right where I am right now. So I do think that that's an important thing to pay attention to. Something that I think is evergreen is in fact your self-awareness.
Mm.
It's that is who you are authentically, and getting a really good handle on, what makes me tick, what ticks me off, what are, you know,
Sorry, that just what makes me tick and what ticks me off. Oh my gosh, that's the question, right?
right. So it's, what accelerates me, what fuels me. That's
What
such
fumes
an
me?
important, what's that?
What fumes me?
Yeah, fuels and fumes. There
Yes.
we go. But yeah, that's what you can control, right? So, and it's evergreen. It's always going to be with you. It is a journey. I really think about it as it's like pottery, right? It's like you're making the pottery and you're just constantly adding to it. You're spinning, and then you're continuing always to sort of mold it and come back to it. It's the nucleus of what you're doing. And so really being able to step into, here's who I am, in the light and in the shadows, right? When I'm triggered, how do I get control of that and integrate that into into my being and into my performance, into my communication, into my leadership intelligence.
Beth, I think that many leaders, if you asked them what are some of the things that they've really had to learn to do well over their careers, whether they were a manager early on or much later, having difficult conversations is still one of the toughest things, no matter where you are in your career. And something you taught me a couple of years ago that I use all the time as a mantra is get curious, not furious. Can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit more about how that is a very simple statement, but it goes deep, doesn't it?
Yes, for sure. It's one of those things where, when you're triggered, and let's say, you feel indignant, you feel righteous about something, you're like, I know I'm right on this, or, and that's one of the questions you always ask people, right? Am I wrong on this? Right? So it's really you can kind of get settled into only your story.
Mm.
And so, you go on a walk and you start to rehearse. Here's what I'm going to say to him, and here's what I'm going to say to her. And you write down, these are the facts, all of these things that just sort of keep you stuck into a place that is just representing your point of view. And if you've studied work on difficult conversations, you realize that, of course, there's always the other side of the coin. There's always a balance to that. There's another perspective, and you've got to allow yourself the grace and the space
Mm.
to hear what that is, and to bring in objectivity and to bring in perspective. They always they say there's three sides to the story, right? There's what he or she said, there's what you said, and then there's what really happened. And what the phrase that you were sharing with me, the get curious, not furious, it allows you to move into a space that says it allows you to put context around a scenario, like what else could be happening, what's underneath of the surface, and most of all, it allows you to move forward. So when
Mhm.
you're furious, you are stuck. You feel good, you're like, "Rrr," right? You're dug in. But remember, digging in means you are stuck. And what you really want to do is to be able to move forward and move forward productively. And that's really got to be modeled by the leader. And so it's a tremendous skill to work on and to be able to bring to your team.
And that really leads right into the self-awareness piece, right? Because you cannot be open to other points of view if you don't have self-awareness to even acknowledge it, right?
Correct, correct. And what we know when we dig into our self-awareness, we know that some people really hate conflict,
Mm.
right? It's physical. I'm one of them.
People pleaser.
But right, like the conflict doesn't, it doesn't feel good. I'd rather avoid it, and then there are others who feel very comfortable. Not that they enjoy it. I wouldn't go that far, but they love that intellectual debate, and so they experience it in a very different way. So again, your self-awareness is important to understand, am I avoiding this? Am I, really kind of putting this off, making it worse, or am I coming at it maybe a little too hot?
Mm.
A little, so do I need to understand, if I truly do want to make progress in my relationship and solve this issue, maybe I need to step aside and bring about this in a different way.
And these leadership lessons are really across the spectrum, no matter what your client or organization sector is. I mean, this is necessary skill sets for everybody. You also have certifications in, is it Clifton Strengths or some of the different things over the years that you have worked on to be able to audit, or when you're working with new people to learn more about them and help them learn more about themselves. Talk about a little bit about that work that you have.
Yeah, so thank you. So the certifications have really allowed me to dig into different frameworks. And I love a framework for coaching and for workshop development for groups and teams because it gives you something to anchor on. And
Mm.
it gives you this mental model and most of all, a shared vocabulary. So which really, really helps because now everybody's working from the same set of principles, if you will, or again, the framework really helps to anchor what you're learning about yourself and others. And so I have a certification in emotional intelligence, which is referred to as the EQI 2.0. And that's a really great framework because it teaches you about skills that you can use in order to understand yourself. So it starts with self-awareness, moves into self-management, moves into your relationship development with others, innovation, independence. These are all really key leadership enablers. And again, it also looks at leadership derailers. What are those things that are going to send you off your course? Again, if you're aware of them, then you can manage them and
Mm.
manage them for yourself and then in your relationship with others. So that's a really spectacular framework. We hear the phrase emotional intelligence all the time. Oh, he or she's really high in it or really low in it, and it's how someone makes you feel when you're interacting with them. So the word and the vocabulary is way out there. Like it's in the vernacular, but to really use the framework for your leadership development is taking things to another level, and so I love working with that. The other framework that I really truly love is from Actualized Performance Solutions. And that's a platform, it's a suite of products, and the Actualized Leader Profile and the actualized team profile. And that one's really fascinating because what you're looking at is how can you help someone reach their highest potential?
Mm.
And it's based on a lot of really fundamental research. And it's really looking at how do you unlock those, not only your style, but your shadow as well. And so it's giving equal depth to kind of the light and the dark. And then you're also able to look at a concept called self-actualization. And that's where we get to what are those habits and things that are necessary, those inputs and traits to develop that are necessary to help you reach your highest potential. And it focuses on things like your confidence. How can you be more candid? How can you be more objective? It also looks at your performance, right? How can I really kind of learn how to focus and perform to my highest potential? And then very importantly, it also integrates how do you recover, right?
Mm.
So I love that concept of, kind of preparing to perform, performing, and then how do I make sure that I recover well, that I'm able to focus on not too much time spent in the past, not too much time spent in the future, but also be very present-minded. So it's a very rich framework and it's a very accessible framework. So I do a lot of work with frameworks because I find them to be a great, very fertile, rich starting place. And when people get it, that light bulb goes off, they get that tipping point. It's like, now we're cooking with fire. Like, let's go.
Beth, how can people and organizations get in touch with you?
So as you mentioned earlier, you went to my website, so it's always open for business. I think I probably learned this from you, but one of the call to action buttons on there is always like, let's chat, let's have a conversation, let's see where you're at. So my website is Talent Development Specialists with an S on the end. Try saying that a lot of times, .com. So I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you want to find me there, send me a message on there. And if nothing else, let's get connected so that I can also know what you do.
Thank you so much for your time, Beth. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sharon. As always, great to speak with you.